All right, welcome back. This week and next week, before the new year here, we are in heavy product development mode, trying to get a couple of new products ready for release on January 1st, which is BuiltRight Day. One of those products is a dash mount for the Jeep JLJT. We've been knocking this around for a couple of years. Finally, you're going to bring it to the finish line. The other is an interior molly panel for the front cargo area of a Rivian. So we're going to be 3D scanning. We'll do some design. We're going to get to prototyping and then try and get these into production by the end of next week. So let's check it out. The more scanning targets, the merrier. So I'm looking for gaps in the scan. Pretty good scan. I probably could just roll with it like this. There are some gaps that I think I might try and hit one more time. And then we will probably wrap it up and go clean it up in the desktop. All right, so I'll give you a little bit of update on where we landed here so far. I've got our cleaned up scan. We put a surface on it with some reference planes and stuff. It's not real pretty, but it doesn't need to be. I just need some of this this data. I've sketched a couple of things in here that I've like measurements I've taken with my caliper to kind of confirm what our scan shows. And then the big thing is kind of started piecing together this mounting block. So my thought is we'll do this a little bit like we've got the Bronco. We did these end pieces for the Bronco that are injection molded out of a glass fiber reinforced nylon, and they turned out really nice with these threaded inserts. So I think what I'm going to do is, because the odd shape of this dash tray kind of lends itself to this well, is to have a block like this on either side, and then we'll get like a really nice perfect flush fit on that top plate, which is our dash mounting plate. The key here is getting the bottom of this shape to match our 3D scan here really well. So what I've got here is that shape modeled. And the next step is to 3D print this, which is just kind of a rough representative model of this foot. We'll 3D print that and we'll test fit it. And we'll probably have to make some adjustments. But once we have that bottom profile finished, then we can finish the features in the top. So obviously we've been making dash mounts for a long time. There are a couple people that jumped out ahead of us and made them for the Jeep. One of the challenges with this Jeep tray is it's so shallow that to build the base of your dash mount out of sheet metal, and to get these tight bends that you need to use really thin sheet metal, which is obviously not as rigid as we'd like. So that is the reason we're going to go with glass fiber reinforced nylon foot that'll really nicely fit this space nice and tight, and then we'll span it with a top plate. So that's the plan. You could have done it. Looks good. All right, so we have our print here. This is just a representative model, kind of to get this bottom surface correct.
I'm gonna test fit into the trim, and it fits in here actually better than I was anticipating, so that's great. I think I can tighten it up along the bottom here just a touch, but other than that, mounting and everything is dead on. So I'm gonna start refining this part to accept the top plate without losing a lot of real estate here, and to bolt up here. One of the challenges is this hole is so far down in this feature here that once we have the thickness of the injection molded part, there's not room for a bolt head there, so we've got to get a little bit creative, but we'll figure something out. So back to the computer.
What about one where they're like all popping their heads out from the side of the boxes? All right, so we're looking at the front cargo area of the Rivian. Some people are calling it the frunk. I don't like saying that. So inside of this, there's a ton of storage space. From the factory, the front end here, there's a couple of 4 knobs that hold like a mesh elastic basket or bag here. And I've had that stuff. They kind of sag after a while and starts getting in the way of this if you fill it too much. So what I'm going to do is actually, I think I'm going to try and design like a utility panel or a MOLLE panel that'll fit this contour here. Hopefully install without having you remove the tub. And that'll give us a place to more rigidly mount things, like if you want to carry a first aid kit or fire extinguisher or whatever it is. Kind of a more rigid mounting option if the basket, the mesh net is not your style. So we're going to 3D scan this, design something, we'll prototype it, and we'll kind of just go from there. All right, so that's all we got for this week. A big part of product development is making sure that you start with good data. So you saw me spend a good amount of time working on 3D scanning and cleaning up the scans so that we're working with really accurate shapes and dimensions. We've got a preliminary design for the foot on here. We did a 3D print and a good test fit. So this is a great starting point for kind of wrapping up the rest of the design from an aesthetic point of view. And then on the Rivian, we got a good 3D scan, a good clean model of the tub that's in the front cargo area, and we started modeling the panel. So that's this week. Next week is a shorter week because of the holiday, but I'm intending to, by Friday next week, hopefully have the Jeep dash mount fully prototyped with 2 feet and a top plate. Be able to send that to production, and then also test fit a prototype in the Rivian and send that to production as well, again by the end of the year. So check back next week.